Okay, what we're working on today is, I think, a 2000 Chevy 1500. I think it's is it a four-wheel drive? I think it's the, what do they call it? The ZZ4 package or ZZ something. I'm not a truck guy. What do they call this? Is it Z71 off-road? Got some monster wheels and tires on it, although I guess not monster wheels by today's standards, right? I think those are 16-inch wheels. Yeah, look like 16s. The only thing we're going to try to do today is we got to change out the radiator hoses because, you know, it's 20 years old. It's kind of getting to the point where it's not reliable. We got those wonderful spring clamps. I think she's a 5.3, the early LS engine stuff. And the vehicle's only got about 60,000 miles on it, and it sat outside the whole time, so it's a little weathered, but it's a good driving, good running truck. It's got a nice topper on it. It's been in Uncle Jim's fleet since it was new. We motored down here to the Grant area today. We're just going to give them a hand changing out the engine coolant, new hoses, just kind of give it a going over today. I don't know how well y'all can see it, but buried down in here, there's the lower hose. It's another one of those spring clamps, and that is a plastic radiator, so I'm gonna have to be real careful with this thing. And typically I'll cut the hoses off on something like this so I don't damage the radiator. I'm trying to even see where that hose goes. Oh, it goes down in there. Okay, looks like they got the clamps where I can get to them. That's good. Should be pretty straightforward. Alright, so there's a plastic drain at the bottom of the radiator tank, and I can see where the overflow hose is routed upward. I'm going to pull that overflow hose out. I'm going to give it a shot with my bare hands. Oh, that never happens. Alright. And I don't know if y'all can tell from the color of that stuff coming out, but it's kind of red, so I know it's Dex-Cool. I went ahead and pulled the cover off, not realizing that this radiator does not have a radiator cap in any shape or form, other than the overflow tank, which you can see is still full of Dex-Cool. But with it off, we'll go ahead and check the radiator for leaks while we have it off. Oh, dirt dauber nest, that's nice. Yeah, looks good. Must have the towing package. It's got the power steering cooler. It's got the automatic trans cooler. AC, of course. So I got to replace this thermostat. And it's, as you see, buried down in there where the hose is. I'm gonna have to take, it looks like the part of the air box off to get to it. I can't get to it from underneath. That's frustrating. All right. So all I did is I just took the air box and disconnected it on one end, loosened it on the other, and then we just rolled it up out of the way. So now I can get down in here, get the thermostat off, change out the hose. Pretty easy. Not too bad. We're not going to replace these, but just look at the hose, I guess the return hose for the expansion tank goes down into this cluster here, which then this hose goes up along, and of course there's a separate hose for just for the heater. There's, I guess, a return and whatever. God, wonder what it cost to replace that monstrosity. Boy, what a mess that is, huh? These are the hoses that came in from, I think it was a Amazon order. Yep. And I'm just lining them up. I'll tell you what I like about, of course I don't really like hoses that are just specialized, right? Because they're kind of costly to get. But it looks like there's going to be no trimming required. I hate cut to fit hoses because it always leaves the opportunity to screw up. Same thing with this lower one. It looks like it's just going to just slide right down in there. It looks exactly like the one it's replacing. Yeah, just looking down in there, it looks like that's going to be an exact fit. I love when that happens. Trying. All right, so Jim tells me this is an original fender cover hood protector from a GM dealership, probably back in the 70s. Looks like it's been around. And what do you use it for, a bench rest when you go shooting now?
Yeah.
Pretty cool. All right, so I got the hose off, and of course I forgot to bring my 10mm or my metric set, but Jim had one. So we're just going to come in and I'm going to crack these fasteners loose. Well, that was, I swear I did not loosen that before. That was, it was, I'm not going to say it was finger tight, but it was pretty loose. I know I got one buried on the bottom. I got to find and get it off as well. It's going to be a little challenge to get to it. But oh, it's over here. It's going to make me work for it. Okay, I found that one. Let's see if that one was as hard. Ugh. Maybe too, because all the leverage with just a 10mm fastener. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I took my Maxima apart the other day, did the upper end on it, changed out all the rocker cover gaskets and spark plugs. And other than the spark plug socket, the only two sizes I needed was a 10 and a 12mm to get the whole upper end apart.
Everywhere, don't it?
Oh yeah, it's spraying everywhere because we didn't drain the block. So it's dousing everything. We're going to have to hose that stuff off real good. Looks like it's getting the compressor pulley and belt pretty nasty, but that's okay. We'll get it off. And the thermostat we're using is a Murray Plus premium quality. Ooh, OE, must be high performance. And of course there's the old one. And this one looks identical to the new one. This one's marked 187. I'm assuming that's a 187 degree thermostat. Never heard of that. This one says 100 degrees Celsius. So I'd have to get out my my exchanger chart, right? Because I really don't know what the difference is. But I'm assuming that they're probably both the same thermostat. And they, you know, dimensionally they look identical as well. You can see some of that pinkish residue. I know some of that is that's the color from the Dex-Cool mixed in with the corrosion on the thermostat housing. And you can see by the look of these housings, these do not look like they're cast aluminum. They look like they're cast zinc. And if anybody has worked on the old small block Chevy stuff, you remember if you keep changing the thermostat and you don't replace the housing, a lot of times the top of the housing will blow out because they corrode through. So I guess they kind of did away with this. You have to replace the whole thermostat as one unit. You can't just replace the thermostat outlet or inlet or whatever you call it. It's just like the whole thing is just one integral unit, which I guess is kind of a cool idea. And it looks like the O-ring will stay in place. I was wanting to put some dielectric grease or something so it wouldn't fall out, but it stretches around this hole when I put it on, so I don't think it'll fall off of me when I put it in. I think we're good. Tell you what, I'm looking inside this thing. I don't know if I can get out here where y'all can see it good. Get some light. This spot right there. Jim tells me this has never been changed, so that was 20-year-old Dex-Cool. You can still see the pinkish residue. And just walking up here and looking inside the block, I cannot believe how good that looks. I don't know, maybe the shadow, it's too shadowy in there, I don't know. But it looks really good. I mean, I don't see really any corrosion or anything, so maybe Dex-Cool is pretty cool. So the new thermostat, of course, went on without a hitch. The O-ring stayed in. I'm really happy about that. Those spring-loaded clamps, I'm just pointing down here, there's like a little claw on there. And if you pull them just right, they get unloaded. They'll clamp onto that. I had a tough time getting that to release with the pliers I had. I don't know if there's special pliers you're supposed to use. I got the one down here, buried in here, and I'm struggling with it. I'm probably gonna have to go up from underneath, but the car's all wet with Dex-Cool, you know, from opening the thermostat, so I'm gonna have to get a piece of cardboard and lay on it. Okay, we got those spring-loaded clamps back on. Those can be a real bear. I was gonna take the bracket off here to gain access to get to that temp sensor down in there. We were gonna just change that out while we had the coolant drain, but the first fastener just rung right off. So easy, I couldn't believe it. So we're gonna leave that alone for now. And we didn't have a 19mm proper socket. We had a shallow 3/4 socket that fit, but it didn't go on far enough. So we're gonna leave that one alone. All right, so before we do this, I know I got the drain closed. I just got to reposition the hose. The hose is still pointing out the bottom. Upper hose is connected. Lower hose, just like we showed before, that's all good. Our thermostat job, that looks just fine. You can't really see it with the box hardly in now. That's all good. So we're going to be using O'Reilly Dex-Cool. All right, we're just going to let it warm up. We're going to add another 2 gallons once the thermostat opens. Everything looks good. All right, we'll let it warm up for 15 minutes and then come back. I think it's been close to 15 minutes. That thing still hasn't opened. Take a look at the thermostat. Our temp gauge. It looks like it's hanging about 180. Does that look like 180 to you? Yep, it should be opening pretty soon. Alright, so we waited like a half an hour for this thermostat to open, but the truck never got above 210. And we just measured what we took out. We spilled a little. We probably spilled a 1/4 gallon, and we put about 2 1/4 gallons back in. So that's what we took out. So evidently, I guess the thermostat did open. Weird. It's kind of a cool day today. It's only like maybe 73, 75.
Okay, you start with your glove.
I wonder what this guy's doing. Like he's got that leg up in the air, trying to sense me. Wonder why they do that. Oop, he didn't like that.
Thanks for watching. Hit like and subscribe.